So let's go through and check these answers. All I did was copy the problems that were on that worksheet over onto these graphs so that I didn't have to go back and forth with graph paper here. So remember, as always, you can pause, rewind, fast forward, whatever you need to do. If you need to hear something twice is fine. So starting with number 1, right? If we look at this, it is in slope-intercept form. So our important information there is going to be to find the slope, which is 1/2, and our intercept, which is 4. So we want to start with our y-intercept. So we plot a y-intercept on the y-axis. And then a slope of 1/2. So we're going up 1 over 2, 1 over 2. And there is our line. Number 2 is an x equals line. So the only thing that we know is that this has an x-intercept of 3. Okay, we do not see y, so that means there is no y-intercept. So if we want a line that doesn't cross the y-axis, it needs to be vertical. So here's our line for that. Number 3 is an inequality. Inequalities we graph in slope-intercept form. Well, at least we're in that. So we have y is less than -4x plus 0, right? We don't see it because there's nothing else being added there. So our m is -4, our b is 0. So we are going to start at 0. And then we will go down 4 over 1, right? When we don't see a denominator, we put it over 1. That 1 is positive, so we are going right. Now our inequality sign says that it cannot be equal to, and that's what that dashed line represents. We can get as close to it as we want, but we can't be on it. And then we want values less than this, so we want the values below. Number 4, we are in point slope form. In point slope form, we can identify a point and we can find a slope. Our slope is always what's in front of the parentheses, so that's going to be a -1. Okay, a point always consists of an x comma y, where the x is with the x, right? The formula for point slope form has the subtraction, which tells us to take the opposite. So we want a -4 and a +2. So I want -4, +2 is the point that I can plot. And then I'm going down 1, right 1. Right, I'm putting that over 1, so down 1, right 1. And there's our line. Number 5 is given to us in standard form. In standard form, we can find an x-intercept and we can find a y-intercept. An x-intercept always has a y value of 0. So if we plug in 0 here, right, anything times 0 is 0, we're left with 4x equals 12, which we can easily solve. That tells us that x equals 3. For the y-intercept tells us that we have an x value of 0. So 4 times 0 again cancels out. So we just have -2y equals 12. Okay, so this says we have an x-intercept. So on the x-axis, we have a point at 3. And we have a y-intercept of -6. So on the y-axis, we're at -6. And there's our line. And then finally, number 6. Number 6 is an absolute value equation, right? Absolute value equations always make a V-shaped graph. Okay, the two things that we can find are we can find our point and we can find our A, which tells us how steep sort of the slope of each side of the V. Our formula for absolute value says that this is a subtraction or take the opposite. So we want the opposite of H and the same sign as K. Our A is 2. So we are going to plot the point 3, 1. Okay, and we're going to go up 2 over 1. Right? But we also need to consider the other side of this where we're changing the sign of the denominator. We're going up 2 left 1. And there is our V.